these already look and feel better than the last ones. What's up guys, Vinny here with Secret Tweaker and welcome back to another video. Today we have our first impressions on the Adidas Trae Young 3. This review was a long time coming. There was a lot of other shoes that pretty much released around the same time and it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back just because the other reviews were more, I guess, highly anticipated. People were asking for those a lot quicker or a lot more than they were for these. So these just kind of kept getting pushed back. So sorry about the delay, but here we are. And I gotta say, I'm a lot more excited for these than when the 2's released. Now this one's already a good look as to where Adidas is headed. They kind of, I guess, had a bunch of lackluster years recently, but then they had the Heart of Volume 7 this year, and then they also have this model of the Trae Youngs this year. Now you also have the Anthony Edwards shoe and the Donna shoe 5 releasing this year, which are shoes that I'm also excited for. But these ones are honestly, just from my first impression so far, not bad at all. Now they do come in this very simple looking box, and I wouldn't say it's anything special. It's not really premium feeling or anything like that, but if you guys can see here, they've also changed Trae Young's logo with Adidas, so it kind of, I guess, signifies that they're potentially moving in a new direction. I don't know if that just means the shoes are completely going in a new direction or whatnot, or Trae Young's time with Adidas. I mean, the guy's still a baller, but it's just, I guess he's been kind of quiet and Adidas has been kind of quiet, so I'm not sure exactly where this is going. Hopefully somewhere positive, because the logo in itself I think looks cooler than the last one, so I'm hoping that the shoes are going to keep coming and they're going to get better and better. The shoe world or the shoe game just isn't the same without Adidas having a big presence in there, and recently, at least for me, it hasn't felt like they have. You've had Puma, you've had Nike, as always, you've had New Balance, even Way of Wade, a lot of other brands, but Adidas has just been kind of, I guess, more in the back, and hopefully that isn't the case anymore. As always though, let's start it off with the traction. Now the Trae Young 3s feature a multi-directional traction pattern. The pattern in itself, or the rubber compound, I guess, is made up of solid rubber and translucent. You do have the solid rubber on your strike zones and your pivot points, and then the rest of it is translucent. Now it is a more herringbone pattern, but then where it comes to your strike zones, that part is more radial. It's more detached if you can see the pattern, but overall, just from initial try on, it worked pretty well. I wouldn't say it's a top tier traction, but it is a solid traction, and that's just from my initial wear. I don't know if it gets better over time. Like I said, I haven't had time to really put these to the test yet. I've had other shoes that I've been testing out. Again, there's one of me and so many shoes that are releasing this year. I mean, Way of Weight alone, feel like they just pump shoes out like it's nobody's business, and they're all shoes that people want to hear about more so than they do Adidas. It is what it is. Way of Weight has made their presence known in the basketball shoe game, and people have started taking notice, so that's what people are requesting. As I said, the traction on this does seem like it's going to work pretty well. Dust collection seems like it'll probably be a little bit of an issue, just because not only is the rubber pretty pliable and everything, but the grooves are pretty shallow and pretty thin. I wouldn't say that this is a shoe that I would necessarily take outdoors either, just because, like I said, the rubber is pretty pliable. It's all detached, so even though it has a pattern, it's kind of like pattern nubs, and it feels like if you were to take this outside, it's going to wear down pretty quickly. Now, like I said, dust collection does seem like it's going to be an issue, just because as I was testing it, I had to wipe just to make it stick again. Now, granted, I will say that was, again, on a dusty court, which again is why I said dust collection may be an issue, but the floors at our local Lifetime have been cleaned since then, so I do want to take it on those floors again, which I don't just want, I will be taking it on those floors just to test these shoes out. Now, as for squeak, it does have a little bit of it. I wouldn't say you're going to get a crazy amount of squeak, but you do get a little bit of feedback. For those people that do like it, it is there, just more of a slight squeak than, let's say, something like the Way of Wade 8083, which that thing screeches like crazy. So if you want a really squeaky shoe, that one might be way to go. But again, squeak doesn't equate to traction, and I would guarantee most people want traction over squeak, because if you have a squeaky shoe, there's no traction, then you're just gonna eat it, and yeah, performance wise, it just doesn't make sense. The cushion is where it kind of gets a little weird, I guess I would say. Adidas had announced initially, and it was on their website, that the Trae Young 3s featured a mixture of light strike and boost. Later on, if you go on their website now, that's changed, and it says it's a wedge-shaped foam specifically designed for the Adidas Trae Young 3 for this model. Now, I don't know what that foam is. They do say it's kind of, I guess, light strike feeling, or I don't know if it's like a different rendition of light strike, but it is a nameless foam for now. They haven't really had any marketing to go along with it, and they've stepped away from calling it light strike or boost. Initially, I thought there was boost in the heel, and then just like the Hardens from the midfoot to the forefoot, it was light strike. However, that seems to not be the case. Adidas also said that this foam is supposed to be more bouncy, and you're supposed to get more like court feel in the forefoot area. Now, as for what my experience was initially, you do get some good compression in the heel. I mean, this just looks, you can look at it and it just looks like it's soft. Like, just the way it looks like clouds, and it does feel pretty nice on the heel, especially if you're going to do heel strikes. The compression is super nice. Forefoot, like they said, you do get a good amount of court feel. It's more low to the ground, but I wouldn't say that the cushion in itself is like super bouncy or anything. You do get a nice bit of bounce from it, especially while you're running, but I wouldn't say like it's a crazy amount. For me, it just felt more like it's for impact protection. That compression was super nice, but for like just if you're wanting a bunch of energy return, this isn't going to be the shoe. Impact protection, especially if you're a guard like Trae Young. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, skill level like Trae Young, but if you play the guard position, you're going to be pretty good to go. I wouldn't say that this cushion is really lacking in anything that a guard would need. Now for the fit, I was able to go down half a size in these, and if you've played in Adidas shoes before, you know that they usually run a little bit longer than, let's say, like Nike or like Way of Wade or Puma or some of those brands. So like I said, I was able to go down half a size and it still fit me perfectly. I didn't have any issues, and I would say, being a normal to slightly wide footer, if you are a normal or slightly wide footer, you should be good to go going down half a size. Now, I would say potentially try it on in store, because that still would be the best way to go about it. However, from my experience, going down half a size, you should be good to go. Now, for the materials and the support, it does use a primarily textile upper, which is mainly made up of micro mesh, and you do have fuse overlays around the shoe, such as right here on the medial side of the toe cap, and then you do have some neoprene materials used around the shoe as well. You do also have this TPU heel counter, and then as far as the lacing system, these do remind me more of the Dame 4s. I mean, they don't have the rubber covering it, so it doesn't necessarily hold it in as well as the Dame 4s, but I would say, I guess if I had to compare it to anything, it's kind of like the fly wire cables on the Nike shoes. As for the lacing system, it works pretty well. Now the tongue is, again, still made up of that kind of neoprene material, and then it is pretty thin, so if you are wanting to crank down the laces, I would say kind of be careful with that, unless you're wearing like nice and cushioned socks. I generally wear nice and cushioned socks just so I can crank down on any shoe's laces as much as I want, and I'm not going to get too much lace pressure where it's hurting my foot. Again, for the materials, that's what it's going to be made up of, and overall I would say for the support, it does a really good job. Lockdown, that was pretty secure. You do also have these Achilles pillows, which are nice and soft, and these are made of pretty much that neoprene material as well, and they feel great on your Achilles. So with the materials, I would say the support functionalities are also great just from initial wear, trying it on. The materials together did their job really well. I had no issues with lockdown. I had no issues with my feet coming off the footbed or anything like that, and I just felt extremely secure. The base also is nice and wide, I would say. So as far as rolling over or anything like that, I wouldn't say that that's really an issue. Now, you don't really get, I guess, an outrigger, but the base and the foam actually protrudes a good amount on your lateral side, and it essentially does kind of act like an outrigger. So as far as like rolling your ankle or anything like that, I don't think that's really going to be an issue. For a size 8.5, and mind you, again, I did go down half a size on these. The Trae Young 3s weigh in at 14.9 ounces. Now that is a little bit heavier than most shoes around that size. I mean, generally, like I said, I do wear size 9, so being 8.5 and 14.9, it's a little heavier. So if you care about weight, that's what it is. But I would say a lot of that weight does come from the tooling. The upper does feel fairly light in that sense, but as far as the tooling for the cushion, I would say that's where most of that weight comes from. Now, the Trae Young 3s do retail in at $140, which is the same as the last two models. So if you are wanting to grab them, that's what they're priced at. Overall, I would say it does seem like it's going to be a pretty solid shoe, and I would say it's leaps and bounds better than the Trae Young 2s. The ones were a solid shoe. The 2s were a far departure as far as performance, fit, all of that. And then 3s, I feel like, are going to pretty much go back into the right direction. Now, a lot of people also ask us where we get our basketball socks from. The answer is from Amazon. They come in a pack of 3 that cost just as much as one pair of Nike Elite socks. The ones we have are these 2 muted colors, which the white one and the black one, and they are quarter length. So if you guys like quarter length, they have them available in that, but they also have them in the high top version. Like I said, they come in a pack of 3 that cost just as much as the Nike Elites, and these are pretty much the same thing but without the Nike branding. They're cushioned, they're ventilated, and they're amazing socks, and they last a long time. If you guys do want a pair, hit the link in our description down below and go grab yourselves a pack. Not a pair, grab yourselves a pack. If you guys have played in the Trae Young 3s already, which a lot of people probably have, let us know your experience down below. If there are any other shoes you guys would like us to review, comment down below. For more content like this, please like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.